Hey everyone, my name is Mike Vaughn. I'm a writer for Geek Vibes Nation. I'm also the author of The Ultimate Guide to Strange Cinema.
And I'm Dylan Gonzalez. I'm the editorial director for geekvibesnation.com and also a co-host of the Home Dance Film Festival podcast.
And welcome to a new Video Attic new release roundup. If you're new here, welcome. What we do is we go back and forth and we talk about the latest home video releases. We have a good time. You know, we talk about the good, we talk about the bad, we talk about like our metric for the worst is Candyman 3 so far. Um, but I'm going to let you start this party.
Great. I was just wondering, like, what if I had never covered Candyman 3? What would we even do?
What would our life be like? I mean, I'm sure we would find another metric for like the worst.
Yes, we've been infuriated a couple times, so that's good. But going into my first titles, I'm doing two titles at once because they are one's a sequel to the other, and they are two of the biggest films of all times. So I'm not going to do too much explaining, but it is the new 4K Ultra HD releases of the original Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water. So I will kind of show these off a little bit in depth. So here's the cover. I really love these spines. It's very simple, but just like having like the A, which the second one has the A as well, is pretty cool. So as long as I keep up the trend with future releases, that'll be pretty cool. But you have this here, and you have 4K disc, movie Blu-ray disc, and underneath that is the special features Blu-ray disc, which it does not come like that. It originally comes with the Blu-ray special features under the 4K disc, but I do not want my disc to get scratched, so I changed it for future use. So my 4K disc is all on its own because they are sensitive and I like to take care of them. My other title is The Way of Water, the newest one that just came out. Made several billions of dollars like the first one. It's insane. So same artwork underneath, and it's the same deal over here. So you have the 4K disc, movie Blu-ray disc, and then a whole disc of special features underneath. So there. So yes, these are both pretty long movies. They are also, like I said, they have both grossed several billions of dollars. So I'm not going to go too deep into plot or anything. I would just say, especially the first one, if you really need to go into the plot, just go back to the video where I talked about Fern Gully and you'll pretty much be good because it's pretty much the same concept. But Jimmy C, old Jim Cameron, he does a good job with it. These have been movies. I've never been the type of person who, like, back whenever the original Avatar came out, I wasn't sad that Pandora wasn't a real place. I wasn't getting blues that I couldn't travel to Pandora, but I thought it was a pretty solid movie, all things considered. And I've kind of held on to this kind of a little bit of resentment that it was so popular because I was like, why is this so popular when I want so many other better things in my mind to be popular? So whenever the new movie was coming out, I was kind of a little bit had like a chip on my shoulder, but I tried to go into it with an open mind. But both of these movies are really good. Like, they're very entertaining. There are flaws to them. I won't sugarcoat. There's Jim Cameron, he's very good at spectacle. He's very good at action and delivering like a really good cinematic experience. He's not always the best with dialogue. It can be very clunky or very simple, which maybe is what appeals to the masses so much. It's very easy to understand, a hero's journey, all that type of stuff. But I like both of these movies in different ways. I think overall, maybe the second movie is a slightly better. Well, of course, with technicals, they're a little bit more finesse, but the first movie is so good. It's like, I don't think it's a monumental jump in quality from the original movie to the new movie in terms of visuals. They both look really great. The acting, I think, is slightly improved in the second one, but some of the character development in the second one kind of annoys me. But Stephen Lang, throughout these, like, he makes such a like despicable villain. He does a great job. Zoe Saldana is like the MVP as Natiri for me with her motion capture technology, which is one of my gripes with the Way of Water. I feel like they don't give her character enough to do. They kind of like background her and just kind of put her in the role of just being like, where's my children, and like, don't mess with my children. Like, it just kind of like, it's very reductive compared to her great role in the first one. And then also in the second one, The Way of Water, the way Jake is just kind of like boiled down to being like, I'm a father, I have to be a protector, you got to protect your children, is a little bit annoying. But despite some of my reservations with that, these are very entertaining movies. I love the world building in The Way of Water. I love learning about these new tribes and stuff, the water tribe, and like, but then there's also there's things that pull it back for me, like in whenever there's like at least 6 or 7 times where Jake tells his children not to go to a certain place, and they go, and then they're like, "Uh-oh, I can't tell Dad I was here." And I'm just like, "I'm not supposed to be here." I'm like, how many times are you going to go to a place where you're not supposed to be, and then just be like, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble." I'm like, stop going to places you're not supposed to be. It's ridiculous. That being said, these are really like spectacle-driven movies. Are fun. They're great visually, and they make great 4K discs. They're very visually dynamic. The only kind of minor thing, like criticism I have, is that there's no Dolby Vision on this, but the HDR 10 plus looks really great. There's new Dolby Atmos sound that both like rock your house. It's like very immersive, especially the scenes of them flying like the dragons and stuff, like up above. You can kind of hear it going all up above. Very dynamic. And these also have a shit ton of special features. There's on Avatar, there's like 2 hour-and-a-half long documentaries, and they actually included a couple of new special features from the that weren't on the original because they've just been recently filmed. Retrospective pieces looking back on the time that these actors had on Avatar. There's one about 20 minutes. That's like a roundtable discussion. There's like another 10-minute like edited feature. And then, like I said, the documentary that goes pretty much into all the things you would want to know about Avatar. But as I was going through stuff, I did realize, and I want to bring this up for a comparison. I had this old Blu-ray release, it's really nice and very thick and all that kind of stuff. It's very impressive. But there are some special features on here that I do not see have been carried over to this. Most notably, there's like a lot of deleted scenes, like maybe over an hour's worth of deleted scenes that are not included on here. There's also some other small like comparisons to like animatics and stuff, and just minor things. There's a ton of special features, don't get me wrong, but if you do have like this release or any other release that's like has all the special features, you might want to hold on to it for completionist sake, because I don't think they included everything from what I was looking over. I could not find them, so I think they kind of dropped them in favor of space, because these were kind of condensed down into one disc. Also, something to note, this release has 2 other cuts of the movie besides the theatrical cut. There's like an extended cut with like 16 more minutes, and then there's like another even further cut that has like an additional 9 minutes. This just seems to be the theatrical cut. So if you want the additional footage, also hold on to this. So theatrical cut only, from what I can tell. And then the other 2, there's 3 cuts on this one. So I want everyone to be well aware of what's missing here, even though it is a really great release. The Way of Water there's nothing wrong with this one. There's not that there's wrong, but this one includes like I said, really great feature, or like audio visual. There's like a 2.5 hour documentary on this, and then like another section that's like another 40 minutes of like that goes deeper into the movie, and then like some rounding it out with like some promotional material, like music videos, trailers, all that stuff. This does not include the 3D version, neither does the other one. There is a separate 3D release if you're 3D capable and you want to see it that way. There's a separate 3D Blu-ray release. This is a 4K, and it looks really great. So yeah, ton of stuff on here, like packed to the gills. So if you have been waiting for these on 4K, they're here. They look good. They're really fun. Even with my little nagging story issues, I think they're really fun movies, and I think they're really worth it in 4K.
And I like the pack to the gills pun.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, and I'm glad that you were able to kind of compare with the older release, because I think like that helps people to be a little bit more informed of like what they're getting or maybe what they're not getting. So I'm also doing two titles, Warner Archive titles. So let's just get into it. My first one is The Courtship of Eddie's Father. And we do have a rare instance where we get a really nice commentary track and some featurettes. So you've seen this, right?
Mhm.
Okay. It was wild. It was really something. Um, this movie is, and I've seen movies like this before where it's in this really weird limbo state of it's trying to be kind of mature, maybe a little risque, but it's patently a family friendly film. But, it's trying to kind of balance that line. And I don't think it does it very well. But yeah, it's definitely a movie of its time. It's a movie that like explores dating. It's interesting because Glenn Ford's character lost his wife. He's a single dad now. He's raising a little Ronnie Howard, um, who's very precocious. I feel like his like main character trait is precocious and also very loud.
Yes.
Like I was like I listened to these on like earbuds and I'm like I have to turn it down because I'm just like this kid is like
Mhm.
anyways. But it's really kind of weird because I mean they do talk about like sex. The kid kind of like talks about like women's measurements. In fact, the joke, that's the joke, it's even in the little poster there. So like the implications are pretty cringe, even if he was like an adult sort of objectifying women and their shapes, but it's a kid, so I feel like it's even more kind of gross. But yeah, so my point is, I'm not the PC police. It's just the gender politics are very of the time, and I think it definitely could have been worse, probably, but it's not a great benchmark. Glenn Ford is great in this. I think he's great in everything, but this really kind of shows his range as an actor. And um, I mean, Vincent Minnelli is always great. I mean, the film is well made. I just think I found a hard time engaging with it, and it's like almost 2 hours long, and it super doesn't need to be. But it's a good release. It looks great. I mean, Warner Archive never disappoints as far as looking just beautiful. And again, if you're a Glenn Ford fan, if you like love Vincent Minnelli movies, which I do, you're a big Ron Howard fan. Like this checks all those boxes. It's very dated. It's very of its time. I mean, some people find that sort of comforting. Your mileage may vary. My next one, I didn't like as much, but it was fine. It's Hey There, it's Yogi Bear. And listen, I know I wasn't going into this thinking like this was going to be some cinematic masterpiece. Um, and there is things I like about it. I mean, I love how you have this wonderful hand drawn animation. I really miss that. I know you can kind of get that effect with digital now, but still, like this was like 100% like painstakingly hand drawn. Voice acting's great. I was gonna attempt a impression, but I don't know. I think I'm kind of chickening out now.
You gotta
Um,
go for it. Gotta go for it. You teased it.
all right. Hey there, boo boo. I'm smarter
Yes.
than the average bear. That's really bad. Um, but that was my Joker laugh. But yeah, no, it's fine. I just think that like it it very clearly has things that's padding it out to be a feature length film. Like there's musical numbers that are kind of clunky and not very good. Um, I think there's a lot. I mean, there could easily be like 30 minutes taken out of this, and it would be completely fine. Um, it's charming if you like Yogi Bear. This is kind of a must if you like old school Hanna Barbera. This is great. I just think this story is it's a little womp womp. I feel like you're just better off just checking out the animated series, and you know.
Yeah, it sounds like okay, between this and The Boy with Green Hair, I just apparently like all of Warner Archives March slate more than you do. So
I mean, I didn't hate it. It's just like I just think that like, I mean, it just felt like the padding was very obvious. I don't know.
I understand that, but I was also including Courtship of Eddie's father in this. Like I liked it more than you did too. So
Yeah.
I yeah, I understand. It could have been kind of it was a little bit padded out for Yogi Bear, but I did enjoy it. And regarding Courtship of Eddie's father, I just got to say that you mentioned the commentary track. It includes the three women that are kind of in contention or whatever. But like they are so lovely, and like all three of them, I was just like, Glenn, no matter what you choose, like who you choose, like they all are lovely. And I was like getting a little hot under collar for Shirley Jones. It's like, whew, she's great. But one thing I wanted to say, not just like to like objectify them, I want to say that the movie, Courtship of Betty's Father, they did a really surprising job of at least giving the women a bit more depth than I expected, especially the lady who was a beauty pageant contestant who was like kind of moving to the big city, because she actually had like smarts and stuff, even though like she was like you would expect her to be kind of like a mindless like bimbo for lack of a better term, but like she's like had a very scientific mind and like very like like she had like a philosophical mind, which I really appreciated, like that touch on things, because like it just gave like the characters more depth and rather than just like hot lady and stuff. It's just like they gave her like depth, and like all of them had like facets to them, whereas like I know the whole measurement thing can be a little bit cringe and everything, but like in terms of character development, they actually did give the women a little bit more than the average movie at the time, so they kind of balance it out a little bit. It's still not perfect, but I wanted to shout the women out because they did a really good job and they're given a little bit more to do.
Oh yeah, I mean the acting's great. I mean, I even think that it's well directed. I mean, Vincent Minnelli was like at the apex of his like career at this time. It's just I I just feel like if it was maybe paced better, I feel like I might have maybe connected with it a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, again,
Yeah,
your mileage on that will vary. So I still think it's worth checking out.
yeah, it didn't need to be 2 hours, but like an hour and 40 would have probably been a sweet spot for it. Going to my next title. This is continuing a line of titles that I've covered from Yellow Veil Pictures and Vinegar Syndrome. It is another film from Wojciech Haas. This is How to Be Loved, which I really love this cover art. But I recently covered the Saragossa manuscript, and before that, the Hourglass Sanatorium, also from Wojciech Haas. He's a Polish director, and here I'll show off. So here's the discard, the booklet here, and I'll show off the reversible cover art, which is just inverted colors of what you saw on the front. So yellow on the outside. So your choice as to what you want. And as with I showed the booklets, all these releases have come with a nice booklet with essays, a couple of essays, and nice photo reproductions and all that good stuff. So the two films that I mentioned that I'd covered before, they had a little bit more of a surrealistic tendency. It dealt with like time and like storytelling, like kind of like maybe not in complete line with reality. How to Be Loved is not quite that. It's a little bit of an earlier effort, and it kind of marks a point right before he jumped into more of a surreal uh, aesthetic with his career. This is centers on a woman, and it is her kind of mostly on a plane reflecting back on her time during the war, during World War II, and kind of like experiences that she had during that time, primarily of which is she saved this man from like being caught by the opposing forces, and she hid him in her apartment, and how that kind of developed, like how her relationship with him developed, and how the war impacted things. And she was an actress. He was, I believe, a speaker, an actor as well. And just kind of this deals with like performance and like how you are represented to the outside society. And this also does involve a lot with like memory and regret, and because like she is fine now on this plane, but she had a lot of horrible stuff happen to her in the war. And this isn't just like your standard like World War II picture where it is just like A to B, someone's like being like objectified or like down, like trotted upon. It's more a little bit, it is less surreal, but is more cerebral and just kind of emotional in its presentation. It's not just I love the editing in this and how it's kind of like woven as kind of a tapestry of memories. It works really well, even though it's not a surreal story. It is told in a very interesting way. And this is also, like I said, not surreal, but it is the type of movie that once you get to the end, you kind of understand a little bit more of what it was going for, and kind of what it was trying to say with earlier scenes, and how they kind of echo one another, and kind of some of the symbolism. So that I do really feel like this is a movie that you can get more of upon repeated watches, which compared to the Saragossa manuscript, which was 3 hours plus long, this is only like a little bit over an hour and a half. So it's an hour and 38 minutes. So it wouldn't be a massive undertaking to watch this several times. And it also, it's just a visually lovely movie, paced well, just a really great film experience. And this is a good Blu-ray. I don't know specifically the provenance of this restoration. I do know that Wojciech Haas's movies have been restored in recent years, which is why we're getting this steady flow from Yellow Veil Pictures, which I really love. But it's a really nice restoration. The black and white picture looks really nice, really tight grain structure, no digital noise, really solid black levels. There's not a lot in the way of black crush. Contrast is nice, no blown highlights. It has the original Polish audio in 5.1, which I found interesting. I would expect it to be like a mono, like split 2.0 track, but this was 5.1, and it sounds really nice. It doesn't sound off or anything, especially from being a film from 1963. This includes a really nice array of special features, which if you have picked up any of the other discs, this will be very familiar to you. There is an introduction from film historian Annette Insdorf, who did the introductions for the previous two movies. And she also does, her and this other film historian, who film critic Sebastian Smolinski, both of them give kind of like an analysis of the movie from different perspectives, which I have also done with the previous releases as well. So I think they just kind of sat them down and lined them up to like talk about this movie, talk about this movie, so like you're getting a lot of these, and I hope we get like his entire discography or filmography, because he's a very interesting filmmaker, and one I did not know before they started releasing these. And so yeah, you have a couple of video essays, at the intro, good audio visual. And if you want the slipcover, I'm not sure if it's still available, go to Vinegar Syndrome's website and you can get like a really nice slipcover. Otherwise, this is a standard release, just the clear normal case, which is also great. But if you're a slipcover fan, go to Vinegar Syndrome's website. Or there's specialty boutiques like Diabolic DVD and Orbit and stuff who might have the slipcover in stock. But highly recommend it if you're a fan and you're wanting to get into Polish cinema, or just like fun auteur-driven cinema. Really recommended.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's a filmmaker that I need to kind of get on. But to that end, I will also look and see if Vinegar has the slipcovered edition, and I will include that in the description if that's still available. My next title is kind of one that like I had not really heard of, but we we love documentaries here, so this is Namjoon Paik, I think. Moon is the oldest TV, and also sorry if I'm butchering his name. Um, but this is really fascinating. So this kind of talks about this artist who used at the time a new medium of television to in a way do a commentary on like TV being like a one way, very powerful, propaganda machine. And, there was things he was trying to do to let people sort of talk back to the TV and, have this sort of interactive like installations. And this was basically kind of unheard of at the time. And then he started doing video art, which was completely like out of the mainstream. Like it's more, feel like that's more of a thing now, but he was doing it like way back when all this technology was first coming onto the scene. So it's really interesting, and he is such a weird. I mean, he's such a weirdo, and I say that in the nicest possible way, because it makes it really fascinating of like what he does. But I think moreover, it talks about like his life and his experience, being somebody that was affected by the Korean War and how that influenced his work, and just really fascinating. And they have a lot of like new interviews. They have some really cool archival stuff. It's really fascinating. I did not know anything about this artist, and it like put me on this path of like trying to discover more of his work. And this does a really nice job. There's some like pictures like of like the artist and stuff, but like yeah, just like really incredible. It's I think the documentary could have maybe delved a little deeper into his life, but I think it does a nice balance of his like where he was coming culturally, politically, and how that it was kind of fused into his artwork. So I thought it was really fun. It's a really interesting documentary, and if you like art, you like kind of weird avant-garde stuff, this is definitely something you should check out.
Yeah, that one was actually at Sundance earlier this year. And while from what I remember, I was nearing about 70 movies watched at Sundance. That was not one of them. It was on my radar, but I am excited to check that one out because I'm a big documentary fan, and that one seemed very interesting. So you talking about it has like reignited my interest in checking that one out. So I'm glad you were able to seek that one out. My next title is from Kino Lorber and Metrograph Pictures. I'm going probably butcher this, but I tried to remember how they said it in the interviews. This is a film from Hao Shu Shin. And this is Millennium Mambo, which is, I believe it's a 2000 picture or 2001. So this is a new 4K restoration from the auteur. This director also, people might know him from the Criterion Collection. They released Flowers of Shanghai, which I have not seen, but very interested in. I've heard a lot of great things. But this film is really good. I really enjoy it. It stars Shu Kui, who I talked about earlier this year in the Jackie Chan film Gorgeous, which I did not love, but she was good in it. And she also starred in the first Transporter film with Jason Statham. This is it's set in our early decades of the 2000s, but it is from the perspective, like a voiceover perspective of like a decade later in like 2011. in which you are hearing about this young woman, her kind of life in, I believe it's Taipei, and yes, and kind of how the youth of the day are kind of like adapting to their circumstances and like the culture of the time. And she is kind of in a toxic relationship with her boyfriend. Like you kind of hear her voiceover say like she's uh like I say I'm going to get out once like I have this much money in the bank, and once that is gone I'm going to leave him. And it just kind of keeps like shifting as like her circumstances shift. Like you'll hear like kind of refrains of that kind of like the money goes up or down, and like you know that she wants to get out of this relationship, but she's kind of like stuck. And then she also meets this other stranger who she begins to know and becomes infatuated with. And it's just a kind of about how this woman is living her life, trying to navigate what she thinks she needs to do within it, and just like wanting to live her life as like a youthful person, but also being under these like different strenuous circumstances. It's very like neon driven, like very aesthetically like vibrant, and you get to see that Taipei nightlife. And but there's also very moments of like gentleness and like moments of just like snow falling that you can kind of appreciate, and like that type of situation. Um, Very good movie. I really enjoyed it. Very visually dynamic. Sounds really great. A lot of like big like electronic acts are featured in this. And this 4K restoration looks really nice. I do believe I remember seeing that there is a 4K version somewhere overseas, like a specialty label overseas has released a 4K version. I'm I, I'm not sure if there's like English friendly subtitles, so you would need to do your own research. I just want to put that out there in case you're a really big fan of this director and you want a 4K version. I do believe it exists somewhere in this world. But 4Ks are usually region free unless someone screws the pooch. But this has an audio commentary, which is really informative from a Rolling Stone writer, K. Austin Collins. There's also a video essay, which basically takes one specific scene and analyzes it from two perspectives. One is like the visuals, like the framing and everything, and one is the sound design, which I found very illuminating as it runs about 11 minutes long. And then there's like a re-release trailer. So overall, really good release from Kino. I'm glad to have it. And if you this kind of marked the director's like kind of more breakout into the mainstream. I think this might have been the first one that was distributed in the US. So this could be like a good entry point to the director if you're looking to get more into him. And he's really good. So Millenium Mambo, it's fun.
I keep thinking of Mambo number 5. And then like,
it's not a no, it's not a biopic of that guy.
Yeah. What happened to Mambo 1 through 4 though?
You had to buy the deluxe CD, and then you were golden.
No, but all jokes aside, that sounds really interesting. I am new to that director, so that's some great advice as like an entry point. But my next film is like one I'm not gonna get super in depth just because it's been talked about and written about to death, but it is such a great movie, and I am so excited to talk about the release. It is the Truman Show.
Nice.
And yeah, so here is just the discs. Now, this has a digital code that's not in there now, but if you order it, yours will have that. And we don't really get anything like new except for like the transfer. But like night and day with the old Blu-ray. Like really, if you are still rocking that old school Truman Show Blu-ray, you might want to consider upgrading because this is such a better presentation overall. Just like the definition is better, the colors are more, I feel like, accurate to what the filmmakers kind of intended it to be. Like they put a lot of care in like making this movie that's already amazing and vibrant and interesting and like really making it pop. As for the film itself, I mean, again, I'm not going to go super crazy detail because y'all have probably seen it or at least heard about it, but this is one of those movies that easily could have been very like pretentious, but I think it's just so beautifully executed. It takes something that's soulful, very quirky, very thoughtful, and really I think gets the most out of everything narrative and just on a thematic level. Jim Carrey is great. I like how he this is maybe one of the first movies that he really like took the dramatic swing. And yeah, I feel like you still get that charisma and physical comedy. Like it's still very much present. Like rewatching this was a lot of fun because you can tell, you know, it's still that big, bold Jim Carrey personality, but like he's showing this depth and range that is just phenomenal. Like I feel like there's a reason why we kind of look back on this movie as like such a high point for Jim Carrey for showing his range. And he's still, you know, he doesn't lose that comedic vibe. It's just, you know, he shows that he's not just, you know, some insanely funny guy. He's very like soulful, and I feel like that energy perfectly kind of fits this film. So everything is great. I just think Paramount did such a great job with this. This is sort of a must own, in my opinion, especially just how much better comparing this to the old school Blu-ray. So yeah, absolute must buy.
Yeah, I really love that film. It's been a few years since I've watched it, but I'm actually still rocking the old Paramount DVD. So this will be a
Hmm.
huge upgrade for me. I'm glad that I've held off on buying the Blu-ray because I'd heard kind of iffy things about it, that it wasn't the best. So I'm glad that this finally got a 4K transfer. I've been praying for it. So I'm very glad about this. Very excited to revisit it finally in its proper form. My next title is one I love a good feminist like scream into the night tale, like just like being pissed off. I love it. So I'm going with Cult Epic's A Question of Silence,
Hmm.
which is a great feminist rage tale. This is from the Netherlands. And especially for this time, this was back in the 70s, I believe, or 1982. This is directed by a female director, which is awesome. Marlene Goris, you can see there. And so this has kind of a familiar setup, but I like the way it goes with it. The way it kind of starts out is there are three women who are arrested for killing a man who do not know each other. And this film, there's a therapist brought in, also a female therapist brought in, who are going to interview them to figure out why they killed this man, and like kind of maybe if there are any connections between the three of them and everything. And I won't spoil exactly what the whole deal is, but these are women from like different like social structures. There's like no apparent like like common friends or anything. Just like they are all just three women who happen to be in the same like they killed a shop owner, so that were in the same place at the same time, and you just kind of slowly peel back the layers of what happened. And what the theme of this movie basically is that like of women like living in a society where they are constantly like made to feel less than or other, or just like kind of taken for granted, or like having to deal with misogyny, just all this stuff that kind of like percolates and just like keeps women like more oppressed. And just kind of how that like you can only push someone so long before like something will happen. And like this is very like probably for some like incendiary like material, especially from the 80s, like men just being like, what the fuck, women just can't kill men. But it's not like, it's not about literally killing men, it's just more about like feeling like there's like there's no other choice, like you must kill because you feel so oppressed. And it's a very kind of like gritty like lo-fi movie that I think is done very well. This is it has like a really it evolves into basically like a courtroom drama. And I won't, once again, I won't give away stuff, but like I think it resolves in a really satisfying way, which might frustrate some, but I found it satisfying. But this was a really great discovery, and this Blu-ray is really nice. I will say it's not a perfect picture. This comes from a 2K restoration of a 35 millimeter print, and you I think you know that sometimes when we're dealing with like prints and not like original camera negatives, it won't always look like pristine, or there's still, it looks a little ragged, but I don't say in that in a pejorative way. It just kind of looks like uh old and like kind of has a weathered look to it, but it looks refined and like within that kind of aesthetic. It looks good, but it's from a print, so there's only so much you can do with it. There's still a good amount of detail. The colors look pretty accurate. And there's like some recurring like nicks and like small lines and stuff, but it's not terrible. It's just like an aged print, and so you just got to deal with it. But there are two audio soundtracks. One is the LPCM 2.0 original soundtrack, and one is a DTS 2.0 new soundtrack. I didn't see like a tremendous amount of difference, but this seems to be like a thing with cult epics and some of their early or older material. They kind of have like a new like refresh track instead of the original track, so you can kind of like pick your poison. There's also there is a commentary track, which is very welcome. And then there are two vintage interviews from around the time this was released in 1982. There's one with a director like on a talk show that runs about 11 minutes, and then there's like another interview with one of the stars who plays the therapist that runs about 16 minutes. And then there's like some trailers and stuff. So and then there's also like a very brief like featurette from a film festival where it had won an award. You just kind of get like a 42-second like glimpse at like a promo, which is a fun addition. But Cult Epics, they did a really good job. If you're the type of person, which I'm not even sure you should be watching this show, but like if you're just like thinks things are too woke these days, or just like use that as a pejorative, fuck off. But if you do like a good feminist tale, A Question of Silence is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, would you say that DTS is DTF?
No, I would not, Mike. Okay, I would not say
But it's always fun when I hear you tell somebody to fuck off. Like it's rare, but yeah.
I think it's just, I think it's a fair stance to tell misogynists to fuck
Yeah.
off.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
we don't need that. So like just do it. Go ahead, walk into the ocean. I don't care.
I love it. So my next title, I was crazy excited for, and that is National Lampoon's Vacation. Also, I I really like this the cover design as like a postcard. I know people kind of give like some like studios some shit for like some of their like packaging, but I really like this. So there is nothing new on this, unfortunately, but they do port over the commentary track. It is also, so you know, it says on the packaging, but so you know, there's no Blu-ray disc. It's just the 4K. There is a digital code that will be in there. That's just not in there now. But yeah, just kind of like the Truman Show. This is a really nice improvement over the Blu-ray. Like the Blu-ray is something that like I rocked for a long time, and the HDR is really nicely done here colors pop. You don't have that like weird like orangey kind of look to some of this. The film grain is smooth, but not, it's still present. So it has that really nice film texture look. It's, yeah, it's great. And as for the movie itself, again, kind of like the Truman Show, you all have probably seen it, but this is such a great movie. This is one of my go-to summertime movies to watch. For me, it's second to only like Christmas Vacation in terms of like the Chevy Chase sort of vacation movies. And I think that it really captures like the magic of like Harold Ramis, who directed, John Hughes, who wrote the screenplay. I believe he also wrote the Lampoon's article that this was based off of. Um, which I'm blanking on what that's called, but I know it was like based on something previously written by Hughes. But yeah, this is a nearly perfect balance of comedy, but the comedy isn't afraid to go to some really dark places. Like we have jokes about dog murder, incest, dead bodies, but it speaks to the genius of Ramis and Hughes, where you can have all that really dark, even kind of disturbing stuff, but it's packaged in such a way where it still feels fun, and you're very much on Clark's side. And Clark as a character is such a relatable kind of goofball everyman. The cast is great. I met Beverly D'Angelo before. That experience wasn't great, but I think she's a good actor nonetheless. John Candy's in this for a few minutes, and that's always great. Wish he was in it more, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, this is a great release. The only thing that would have made it so much better if like they had like maybe a new featurette or something. But the fact that we have this upgraded, it looks great. We also have the 4K of Christmas Vacation now. Like, hallelujah, where's the Tylenol? It's great. Quote from the wrong movie, but still, I stand by it. So yeah, oh my gosh, this is such a I love this movie so much. Like I said, every summer this is kind of like I must watch. So looks great movie. I don't know what else you want.
I know what I want. I want the other two Chevy Chase vacation movies on 4K. So hopefully European and Vegas both get 4Ks in the near
Yeah,
future.
I have never seen European Vacation.
It's been a long time for all of them. The only one I watch regularly is Christmas Vacation, but I want to rewatch all of them in 4K. So make it happen, Warner Brothers.
I remember like kind of liking Vegas, but I was a lot younger, so I'm not sure if curious if that holds up. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure the other two are probably on the way. That I mean, a nice box set would be killer.
Yeah, I'm here for it. But if it takes time for them to release them and not make mistakes and stuff, just take your time. But I'm here for it. My next title, I was so thrilled about. I love this show. I was so surprised it was getting a Blu-ray, but it holds such a special place in my heart. It is one that my mom, who is a loyal viewer, she loves it as well. So I'm excited to show this off. It was the NBC show Parenthood. The complete series ran for 6 seasons, each with their own case here. I am a sucker for a family drama, and so like yes, I know the other NBC show, This Is Us, just finished airing. But this predates that, and in some ways I prefer it. I love both shows though, but I won't give every season like a spotlight or anything, but I'll just give a quick like first season, and this is like pretty standard packaging where there's the trades in here. This so first season, second season, third season, fourth season. I'm glad that we are given like individual cases with like disc not overlapping or anything. It's fantastic. They all just fit nicely into the slipcase. There are 23 discs and 103 episodes. I'm not going to try to bullshit you. I have not watched all 6 seasons in the last week or so. But I did test these out, like episodes from each season, to see how the quality is and just to kind of refresh myself on the show. So you'll just have to take my word that like this is a pretty good release. But it was so much fun revisiting this. It's such a heartfelt show. It focuses on the Braverman family, led by Craig T. Nelson. Has a really great ensemble: Peter Krause, Lauren Graham, Dax Shepard, Erica Christensen, Bonnie Bedelia, and then there's a lot of really cool like not guest stars, but people who have like smaller arcs, like Michael B. Jordan before he started popping off. He was on this show. So many like great people. And Monica Potter's on this. I don't want to overlook her, but this has such a like I said, it's such a warm show. It's a typical family drama, but the way it's written is very relatable. It's like very smart dialogue. This is from the creator of one of my all-time favorite TV shows, which is Friday Night Lights, Jason Katims. He also created this around the time that show is wrapping up, and both of these are like among like some of my favorite shows ever. And it's like a special warm place in my soul for this. And I just can't say enough nice things about it. It maintains its quality throughout all 6 seasons. It does feature an autistic character, a young autistic character in this that I think they handle very delicately and like a very believable way. They have other heavy storylines, like there's some. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a lot of really great stuff that I think they always handle with a very delicate touch, but very impactful. So Parenthood, I love it. I love it so much, and I'm glad this is from Universal directly, which a lot of times like Mill Creek's been picking up a lot of Universal shows that we've talked about, but this is from Universal directly, and so you don't have to worry as much about like their encodes. It's a very strong encode. These look really nice in high definition. This started airing like around 2011, so this is a pretty recent show, and it has a really nice high definition master. Holds up very well, very rich colors, very crisp details, DTS 5.1 sound. The first 3 seasons have a pretty good array of special features, like a couple audio commentary tracks per season, a lot of deleted scenes, a couple featurettes here and there. Seasons 4 and 5, I think you can tell that they kind of started like taking the original DVDs for granted and just kind of pushed them out. Then the 6th season, they do include a retrospective piece for the finale that you can watch. So pretty good array of special features and all in one package. Highly recommend if you love a family drama, this is one of the best in my opinion. So Parenthood from Universal, love it so much. Very excited about this release.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, like you were saying, I like how they put the extra kind of time into, giving these like their own cases, like the seasons, and um not calling anybody out, but we always don't get that. So
Yeah.
my next film is really kind of cool because I just reviewed The Manchurian Candidate from John Frankenheimer, and we have his final film, Ronin. Here's the back with the features and the discs. Yeah, so I had never seen this before. I heard mixed to pretty good things about it, and generally speaking, if Kino Studio Classics is going to upgrade something to 4K, like that's a pretty good indication that the movie's pretty awesome. And yeah, it's really good. It has that late 90s cheese, where everything's so self-serious and so earnest, um which is sort of refreshing when you have everything that's sort of marvelized to be sort of you know, anything serious happens, you have to undercut it with a quip, which is fine. There's room for that too, but like, you know, it was interesting watching this because it harkens back to like kind of old school like 80s and 90s action films. And you know, interestingly enough, like while I was taking notes on it, I was like thinking, wow, this is very much like The French Connection in a way, which was such a classic William Friedkin film. And it has one of the, like, this has one of the coolest car chase scenes, like, maybe ever. Like, I'm not saying that lightly. It is so well done. And I think the plot is maybe like a B minus, but like the action, the acting, the set pieces, Sean Bean, who may or may not die. I'm not going to tell you which.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a Skarsgård in it. It's got De Niro. It's got it all. It's great. Again, I think if you're not into action movies, it is a little long. It's a little plotting at times. I don't know if it would convert you to be an action film fan, but if you're kind of already in that sort of zone, I think you'll like it. Um, it's interesting using the samurai as sort of this metaphor for, you know, these like cast off sort of rogue, you know, men and women trying to, you know, use what agency they have to kind of game a rig system. So it's interesting. I think that's a nice kind of metatextual thing to you know, build a movie around. So as a final film, it could have been better, but it really is a lot of fun. I just, if you are into action movies, I think this is kind of a must own.
Awesome. Yeah, I shamefully I picked up like this special edition DVD of it years ago that I never got around to. But now I guess now's the time to maybe finally dive in and watch it. Because I love Robert De Niro, and it also co-stars Jean Reno, right? Am I
Mm-hmm.
correct? I love him as well. So
Just trying to do my like squinty.
good job. Good. I'm gonna have to get my wife on here. She does a great De Niro impression. You can have an impression.
Nice. Oh, I'm sure like hers would be miles better than mine. Mine is just like doing that squinty. Hmm?
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just saying, like, she does a good job. But yeah, I love both of them. So that seems like one that I'm gonna have to check out sooner rather than later. My next title, heading into the silent corner. Cue the music. Andre. So this one is from BCI Entertainment. This is a film from the great Mary Pickford, and this is Johanna Enlists, which is hard to see. It's like written up here in like blue. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
like make it seems like Mary Pickford is the title, but that's the star and like the title of the film. It's very weird. But so yeah, you can see her here with it's made in 1918. So yes, silent film. And this includes a Blu-ray and DVD here, both with the same artwork. Not double-sided artwork, but you have a nice background here that it's better than just like a plain white cover, so that's pretty cool. And I know this is just like kind of a random thing I just thought of, but I do like whenever labels like they kind of subvert just like the blue case and just go for the clear case. I think it
Hmm.
looks nice. I like it. But anyway, this film, it's pretty solid. It runs just over an hour long. It's set. It it's described as like being made around the time where a bunch of films were being made to kind of like boost morale in the course of the First World War. This was released a few months before the war eventually ended, but it stars like Mary as a young farm girl who's like at the beginning kind of like in a potential like romantic situation with a couple of different men who are not the best. Like one's married and the another is just like kind of a jerk and everything. But she got kind of gets more than she bargains for whenever a troop of soldiers comes to stay on her farm with her family and stuff. They have to kind of house them for a little bit, and she kind of like she has like kind of her pick of the litter basically, but like she kind of has to like contend with the advances of a couple of different men, and she does eventually fall for one particular man. And no spoiler, even though like I doubt these are 1918 stars. I doubt I could like spoil which one is the person she picks, but um it's a really like sweet, occasionally funny story. There's like gags with like her taking milk baths and stuff to make her skin like extra soft and stuff, and just like different like humor situations. But this is just kind of it's meant to kind of boost morale, like I said, around the war, and just like eventually leads to her just kind of like being like, hey, let's go get them, like, hey, let's go boys, like that kind of situation. But it's it's a fun movie. It's not like completely complex or anything. It's just like a really well done silent movie. I think I really love the new score that they composed for this. It's really lovely. I really liked it. And that is included in both a Dolby Digital 5.1 and a 2.0 soundtrack. So no lossless audio, but I've seen that a lot of silent films do opt to go for just a lossy Dolby Digital track, which is not a huge change in quality. I think it still sounds really nice. This comes from a 4K restoration. Looks really nice. It's been preserved well. It is from 1918, so over 100 years old. So you have to kind of be aware of what you're getting into. It's not going to be like crisp, crystal clear, high definition, but it looks really nice, cleaned up. Not much in the way of like specks of damage or anything. It's been cleaned up very well. And there's a pretty good array of special features. This does have a commentary track, which is pretty cool. This comes with a photo gallery, and then there's also a short film with Mary Pickford that was directed by D.W. Griffith from like 1912, which is pretty cool because D.W. Griffith would go on to make a lot of great epics. This is an effort from 1912. So over 110 years ago, that it always blows my mind that like stuff that this old still can be preserved and like shown to it. It blows my mind, but I love it. So yeah, BCI Entertainment. I think they did a really good job with this release. If you're a silent film fan, Mary Pickford is like one of like the Mount Rushmore of silent film actresses, at least, if not just like all actors. And I think this is a really good inclusion for her. So pick it up if you are interested.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I know, like, I haven't seen a lot of Mary Pickford silent films, so I think that might be something I need to get into. My next title is a book, actually.
Ooh.
And I know we're stretching the, usually it's film books, but with the new Spider-Man movie coming out, like I'm like, yes, anything Spider-Man related, I'm here for. So this is the Spider-Man Psychology, and this is edited by Travis Langley. I'm a big fan of Batman in Psychology, so this is a series that he does, and it's really interesting. Like I mean, it's pretty hefty. It's got a lot of really interesting, like, it's very well edited. I'm not all the way through it since I got this book not too long ago, but what I'm reading so far is really great. I love that they talk about Peter Parker. They kind of psychoanalyze him. Talks, of course, a lot about grief with Uncle Ben, and that's all really fascinating stuff. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some really interesting hot takes in here that I think, would make for like a really fun debate among fans. And that's something that I really liked about Batman and psychology. They took it to some places where I didn't really maybe necessarily expect it to. But it's really, I mean, it's not a visually great book. Like the reproductions, photos, and stuff are fine. I think that the overall like layout is nice. I think this like retails for like 21.99. So, you're not getting like these beautiful high def colored pictures, but I mean it's still very nicely done. So, if you want something that is like very much like beautiful and polished, this maybe isn't it, but you're also going to pay a lot more for that. So I think like this is just, and I mean like I said, it does have a really nice layout. It has a fun design. This is something that again I really liked about the Batman book. So yeah, it's really interesting. I'm having a blast reading through this. Again, I like this series. I will also, if y'all are interested in the Batman book, I will include that in my links in the description. But yeah, I thoroughly recommend it.
Awesome. As you know, I can't read, so that's not going to be for me. But and that sounds like maybe I can find an audiobook. No, but that sounds good, and I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so definitely had to check that one out. That actually segues pretty nicely. I'm talking. My final title is a superhero related title. It is from Warner Brothers. It is the third and final season of DC's Stargirl. So this is a DVD release, which does disappoint me a lot because the first two seasons were released on Blu-ray. I covered those two on the site. But this third season is sadly only DVD only. My fingers are crossed that maybe sometime in the future, Warner Archive might like swoop in and release a Blu-ray like they did with the last couple seasons of Black Lightning. But who knows? I never know when stuff's going to be taken away off streaming, so I did not want to lose access. So the DVD is what we have right now, and it's pretty solid. The Stargirl is one of those series that I kind of went into with a little bit of hesitation. I like whenever it first came out, I was starting to feel a little bit of that superhero fatigue and stuff. But whenever I watched that first season, I got so energized because it just gave me such fresh storytelling. I love the characters. It's just like the writing was very sharp. I don't know. It renewed like kind of my interest in superheroes for a little bit. I was just like, this is so great. I loved it. And like the special effects were amazing. And that was when they were back on the now defunct DC universe, and then like they moved to CW, and I was a little bit worried that the special effects budget would be like cut and it would look not as good. But the second season held up; it's very good, a little bit darker, but tonally, but it held up very well. It made sense for the narrative to keep evolving that way. This third season, which I won't do a deep dive into because I don't want to spoil stuff. It picks up shortly after the second season. This one is interesting because once again, it's a little bit dark on the dark side, but it is an interesting season where it's kind of more set up to be like a whodunit type of thing, where there is a death at the beginning that our characters are trying to figure out who killed this person, and there's a lot of really great questions about who is on what side. Like, is anyone completely good or is anyone completely bad? Can bad people be rehabilitated? Can you trust everyone that's in your circle? And all that type of stuff. And all the characters are continued to be written very well. You get some surprising twists near the end, some returning characters, um, and like the special effects are really great. I love Luke Wilson in this. Like he adds a lot of uh, he added a lot to my interest in this series, and he like has like a really nice paternalistic um quality to these younger characters and everything that works really great. Amy Smart is great as Stargirl's mother, and just like the young cast, they are so fun and like charming and everything. I just love this show so much, and I think it really went off on a high note, and it really served, especially since it was this tight 3 minute series, or 3 season series, not 3 minute, 3 season series. It holds up as one of the best live action like CW TV shows that they've put out, in my opinion, because a lot of these shows would like continue on and like really start like dragging their feet and really become like a slog. But like you never really got that with this series, even though I do wish we had more. But as it is, it's like a very nicely contained series that's like really great, and glad to have it on DVD. It's not quite as strong as like a Max stream right now, but it looks good for DVD. Not too much in the way of Black Crush. You get a semblance of detail. It's a modern show on DVD, so it looks nice but not amazing. Like I love my Blu-rays to look. Like I said, not bitter, but I wish it was on Blu-ray. There's not much in the way of special features. There's like 2 deleted scenes that total like 4 minutes, so not really much at all. But there is something. I guess they could have had a bare bones. Dolby Digital 5.1 sound. It's a fine release. I'm just mostly glad to own it in case it disappears. But I'm, like I said, not bitter, but I wish they had the Blu-ray release.
Yeah, that that is like you said, a shame that I mean, maybe we'll get a complete series at some time on Blu-ray, but like fingers crossed.
Yeah.
My final I saved my favorite for last, and I was so excited that I got to review this and I finally got to see it. And that is Evil Dead Rise.
Mm.
And I like this. I mean, again, I like the cover art. So here's the inside. This has a digital code that's not in my copy, but you'll have one. So yeah, this movie is just a damn good time. I was having a blast watching this. I watched it last night. I was like kind of tired. I was kind of in a crabby mood, but like this movie just like put me in the right kind of headspace. I loved it. I think that the setting of this kind of broken down apartment is just used to the utmost like perfection. I love that there's slide nods to Mario Bava's Black Sabbath. We have some like nods to like some Fulci. Clearly, these filmmakers are huge horror fans. The gore is great. Just the creepy set pieces and just all of this action that's just packed into maybe just a little over an hour and a half. And while I don't think all movies need to be an hour and a half, I just think that's like the perfect runtime for me for most things. So I loved it. This 4K looks fantastic. It is a very dark movie, both thematically and visually. So I loved how this release really was able to kind of like balance all the like black sort of like tones in a way where you could still kind of see what was going on. This isn't a like it's a visual movie, but the color palette doesn't like pop. But still, it's like when it does, it's just kind of in your face. So the only thing I will say that it kind of sucked is this is completely bare bones. Um, I was hoping for a commentary track or something. I'm just happy that we have a 4K release of this. Like this movie, I was doing a little research because I was like, I couldn't recall if this was a huge hit. I know like critically it was like really like high up there, but it was made on like a $14 million budget, but it ended up making over 140 million just in the box office alone. That doesn't include um like home video and all that stuff. So yeah, really great. I'm glad that this did well. I hope that they do more. So if you're kind of curious like how this movie is as far as like an Evil Dead movie, it it feels like an Evil Dead movie, but in a way it doesn't. Like it has a Necronomicon, it has like a similar kind of setup, it has a lot of like Easter eggs and references. But if you haven't seen a single Evil Dead movie, you can go into this and still know what's going on. You'll have a good time. You just won't maybe get a few of the, you know, iconic quotes and Easter eggs, but it's completely standalone. So, you know, if you're like not into the Evil Dead movies and want to check it out, you're good. It's not, and also if you're worried it might be a little bit too campy or silly, this one really isn't. Like Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness were kind of like the more slapsticky entries. This is sort of, I think, tonally more in line with the remake. Um, than the actual kind of like original like Evil Dead trilogy or the series. So, you know, it still kind of has a little bit of like tongue in cheek moments, but it's very like it's not as like silly or like slapsticky and stuff. So your mileage on that may vary, but like just so you know, but really fantastic release. I'm glad Warner Brothers decided to give this like a 4K treatment. I just wish we had features, but maybe down the road, who knows? But like give me a commentary track or something, like a featurette, just anything. But yeah, I mean, again, 4K, I'm happy with that. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I and you were talking about the box office. It's crazy to think about, but this movie was almost sent directly to HBO Max like before the regime change, and they were like, "No, we're going to make this theatrical." But like, this is one of their biggest hits in like over a year. like,
Yeah.
like some of the movies that should have been bigger hits, like this outgrossed them easily. So like, I think this outgrossed like Shazam and stuff. Like this, thank goodness Warner Brothers reconsidered because that horror is really good at the box office. So glad they got their head out of their asses for that one.
Yeah, and I mean, I love that we live in a time where like horror is such a diverse genre. I mean, it always has been, but like, you know, if you want elevated horror, that's great. We have that. If you want like just, you know, back to bare bones, gory, fun, like both of those are completely valid and both I feel like, you know, I love partaking of. So this is definitely the more like um gory fun. I mean, I say fun, it is like if children in peril is something that triggers you, trigger warning, this you know gets a little intense, but yeah, it's I loved it. um this is definitely one of my like favorite releases so far this year.
That's great. I think that about wraps us up.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so as always, you know, the obligatory, if you like this, we do this weekly, and all the likes, you know, likes, comments, all that good stuff is really appreciated. It helps kind of get the show out a little bit more. And as always, thank you for hanging out with us.